who I see on my screen. It's Bradden.
I'm back, baby.
It's been 3 years. I'm kidding. It's only been like 3 weeks, but it feels like 3 years. How have you been, Bradden?
Been doing well. It's been a busy time right now working on moving, but good to be here for at least this episode. Yes.
And this is one of our favorite episodes we're doing, and it's the Winter Jam prediction episode. I wish I had a sound effect that go like "woo," but
Oh, haha, perfect
like
timing
those
for
are
it.
that from the TV show iCarly, like those buttons that like have all those sound effects. That's what I need right now for this podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely. Next investment right there.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone for tuning in. This is the Christian Music Bros podcast with Brendan and Bradden. I'm Brendan, and this is Bradden.
Welcome to the podcast, everyone.
Bradden, you know what time it is? We just kind of touched on it, but it's about Winter Gym prediction time. Like
Yeah.
pretty soon in the next like month or two, they're gonna start teasing the lineup and trying to get us to guess who it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, and we will fall for it, looking through every photo we can to try to guess the lineup.
And if you weren't aware, last year Bradden and I did this, and I think we did semi okay. I think we out of like the seven main acts or six, seven main acts. I think we were 4 for 7, 4 for 6, something like that.
Mhm. We had most of them down. We even got a pre-jam act in, so we did pretty good last year.
We got one of the pre jams. We had Kane right, we had Kitty Nicole right, and we had McCray, and we had Crowder right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that we did.
I don't think we touched that 7 day shoulder. I think we brought him up briefly, but we pushed on that one. So like we were kind of on the fence with that one, but then it ended up being 7 day slumber.
True, which was definitely an awesome surprise.
And it's just cool because it's a new rock band like we haven't seen. Like we just had Disciple and 7 Day Slumber in the last 2 years.
I know. I absolutely love that. Seeing new faces go in there for different styles. Super cool.
And we had also like new faces with like Katie Nicole and Kane, which was the most fan requested artists, I feel like. So you got a little bit of everyone's artists as well.
Definitely, yes. I love that. Last year was a blast. So I'm even more excited for this year.
And speaking of this year's Winter Jam, this is not a gimme, but Brad and I have a special Winter Jam episodes in the works. I don't know if I can go into details right now, but just stay tuned on the podcast page if you want to know more, and we'll announce it as soon as we can.
For sure, yes.
So Winter Jam is coming. They usually announce this or to get guest artists around October. We're now in July if you're watching this. So if you're watching this in October, we made these predictions in July, so everyone knows. But I like to do
Mhm.
these early because then I start planning like who's going to be in episode or not episodes, but like end concert and then cross out every tour, just trying to figure out the list. Brad and I spent like maybe 3 days trying to figure out the lineups every year, and most of the years we've been pretty good, other than pre-jam artists.
True, yes. We do our best with it. We're not ever right exactly on it, but we get some acts down, and it's always a cool surprise either way. So it's fun doing our best guesses for force.
And this was actually one of our more popular episodes, so we were like, let's revisit this. So here we are again.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
Okay, for the first one, we're just gonna start nice and easy. I know who's gonna be the big host of Winter Jam is gonna be there. It's a new song. I'm gonna feel like, or wait,
Mm.
maybe they'll have song new. Who knows?
Never know. Yeah, I think it's a risky move, but they may be there actually.
And like, it's like they've been doing this for a long time.
Definitely, yes. And they're always an enjoyable act to see. So we love them.
And like this, "Arrive My Love" is always a powerful set on Winter Jam. If you're not in your seat when that song's on, you better be in your seat.
Literally, yes.
And from there, we're gonna go switch into the pre-jam artists. Last year, we actually got one. We got Lindy, which is kind of
Hmm.
an outlandish guess we thought at first, but then it actually happened because they're from Sweden and everything. So,
Oh, yes. I remember the moment of just being like, this is Lindy. We're going to be super excited through the roof for it. And it ended up being them, which was super cool.
and what did we know at the time? Bradden and I actually had them booked on our podcast before the announcement came out, and when they got announced, it was like the week they got announced on Winter Jam when they came out on our podcast. So it was just really cool to see their reaction and everything.
Definitely, yes. They are super cool people and friends of ours now. So we love them.
And then we also had SEU worship last year and John Wesley from Reach City. So
Hmm.
really good artists there. But this year, I only put down two pre-jam artists because I'm slacking, or I had a third. So we'll kind of go. I have Red Rocks worship for our worship group, kind of like the SEU worship and like the Thrive worship and Bayside worship. Red Rocks, I think, would be a perfect opportunity for them right there.
I have to agree. When you mentioned that, I was like, that is a perfect pick for it. I can really see them having them on there.
Yes, and from there, I had Natalie Lane. We had Natalie Lane on the podcast, but I just feel like Natalie Lane's been making waves around this Christian music industry, and she's been on tour like for like the last 3 years. I feel like nonstop, consistently. Be cool just to see her on a bigger stage.
Definitely. She's a phenomenal new artist breaking out. So it'd be super cool to see her on tour.
And then my last pre-gen guest is Henry. We also had Henry on this podcast, but he fits that like pop mold. This kick off the shows. He would be kind of be like the Lindy of last year. Natalie Lane would be like the John Wesley of last year, and like Henry has a lot of pop songs. He's doing a lot of collaborations with like Tadashi, Peabody. So if you haven't checked out his music and everything, you need to definitely check that out. I feel he fits that pre-jam to hype up the show.
Agreed. Yes. He was on a podcast recently as well. He's a super cool guy. And literally, his music is amazing. He's a newcomer that most people don't know of yet, but he'd be perfect to fit that free jam build, like you said, where like Lindy was, where it starts off the night, pretty upbeat pop, really engaging with fans. So that'd be awesome to see.
Yes, and those were all from my pre-jam predictions. You have pre-jam prediction too, because me and Bradden actually made our own separate documents for this year.
Indeed, yes. So my choices of pre-jam, I picked three as well. The first one being Apollo LTD, which amazing pop band who just been doing so much. I think they were actually a part of the short winter jam during the COVID year, but they would be amazing, I think, to kick off the night. They've got more name recognition than some of the other artists, but I would love to see them a part of it.
I actually had Apollo LTD as my list as the pop band, kind of like that Kane Building 429 set list this year. So I'm glad you brought up Apollo LTD, but we'll get more into that part later.
Definitely. I can see them fit in that bill. The other artist I have on here is a female artist, Iveth Luna, who we also recently had on the podcast. She's just blowing up all over. I've loved her music since it first started. And I think she would be a definite good pick to start off Winter Jam, to be that, female act that's also a new one, to still just get everyone engaged with it, with their music. I think she would just be a perfect fit for it.
And IVF has a lot of good hit singles out, just like Jesus in You. You could just hear, and then she's working on like new music currently, so you could hear all those new songs as well. And like she would fit the mold because she doesn't really have an album quite out yet, but she has like a big EP out, so she fits that mold. Like a couple songs, she's kind of like the Abby Robertson, in my opinion.
Yes, great comparison there. The last act I have, I debated putting him in pre-jam or putting him in the main thing, but I would say Josiah Queen, which is completely like the face of Christian indie music right now. He's blown up with the song "The Prodigal," and his new album by the same name that just came out. He's got a huge fan base with his indie folk music, and I think he would just be a slam dunk for Winter Jam. The only issue being, I don't know if he would actually be in pre-jam because he's already reached so much hype, but he's still a new artist that I think it would fit as there being like the last act in pre-jam to really get people to come in early to see him. I think that
Mhm.
would be a really good addition.
And that's a good guess as well. Josiah Quinn was one of the names I actually crossed on my list. He was one of my eliminators with a good person. I think he's on tour with Forrest Frank. I think they're doing a tour together, if I'm not mistaken. So go check
Mhm.
that tour out. It's a fall tour. Josiah Queen and Forrest Frank. I could be mistaken, but I think those two are the two doing the tour together. He was the other name I crossed off for pre-jam. So it'd be just really cool to see someone from the indie space. And he just released his debut album, so you could get that traction in.
Literally, yes.
And so we're gonna move into the pop set. This is kind of like in the past we've had Kane, Building 429, etc., etc. But this we you touched base on this artist already. I had Apollo LTD here. I feel
Mhm.
like they're a little too big to be a pre-jam artist personally. And I feel like they just because they have like 4 albums out, they just fit that mold for like the start off the show and everything. But one could argue is they're kind of like similar to Maniac Drive, and they could fit in pre-jam like that way too.
Agreed. Yes, they're an amazing band, and I don't look at them as a pre-jam act. I know for other people, they've had maybe one or two songs really on K-Love and radio that really went big, so they could literally fit whether pre-jam, whether in the main act, but they would be a phenomenal pop act to have on there for sure.
And speaking of pop acts, who did you have for your pop act?
For me, I picked Torrin Wells, who did Winter Jam a few years back, but an amazing pop artist. His song "Take It Back," I think, just hit #1 on the charts this week. I think he just fit the mold great with his last time he was there, his dance skills, his stage
Mm.
presence. I would love to see him back on there, full force, going at it.
And here's another name that's kind of I added into our list at the end when we were discussing this. We just discussed this. I have Jordan Felice could be here too. I think Jordan Felice, he's done it back in 2018. I think it's actually one of the time Skillet headline. Well, when it was like Jordan Felice, Skillet. I think this is like right before For King and Country became who they are today. For King and Country was there, but I feel like Jordan Felice has been working on new music. He's been doing a lot of shows with Colton Dixon lately, and I feel like he just fits that mold right now too as well.
Agreed. Yes, both Jordan Felice, Cole Dixon are acts I could definitely see doing it because they're like you said, they've been touring a lot. They both have been releasing new songs. Jordan Felice is one of my personal top favorite artists of all time. So I would love to see him there. It's definitely they can fit that Apollo or Torn Wells kind of vibe, just going in there with their engaging music. And like you said, Jordan Felice, he's got a new song coming out pretty much every month at this point. He's got so much coming out. It's just really cool to see that. It would fit really cool to be at Winter Jam again since he's not been since 2018 now.
And for my friends in Michigan, he's going to be in Holland, Michigan, August 11th or 18th. I don't remember the exact date, but it's going to be a free show. It's Renee, who was on Winter Gym in a few years, and Jordan Felicia. Come out and check it out if you're there. If you need to, you can send me a message on our Instagram account. I can give you all the information. Um, let's uh, let's go to the rock category. There's one artist we're gonna skip over for now, but we have a reason. And Bradden, you know who that artist is, so we're gonna just skip over him right now. But in the last few years, we've had Disciple and Seventh Day Slumber, and I like how they've been changing the mold with all these new rock bands in lately. A couple of
Mm-hmm.
person I think that would be a perfect fit for Winter Jam. I would love to see, but I don't think it's gonna happen, unfortunately. Is Lacey Sturm.
Mm-hmm. Fully agree. Yes, we were talking about it, and well, they had 7 Day Slumber recently. They had Disciple, which amazing additions, well deserved to be in that roster, especially now. TFK is still considered disbanded. Red's gone more mainstream, so it's super cool to see new rock acts get there. That Lacey Strum, I feel like, is an artist that definitely needs to do it at least one time for Winter Jam Live. Her music's incredible, and like, yeah, we are huge fans of her. She was just in Nashville recently with Trevor Tyson that they both performed. So I would love to see her just do it.
Did you go to that show in Nashville? Just curious.
I did not make it to the show, but I was hooked on my phone watching all the videos of it, and it was incredible.
And Lacey Stern's been making a big comeback lately, so it'll be really cool to Lacey Stern. And I know you guys would say, "What about Skillet?" But as big as Skillet is, they would fit the rock stage, yes. But I feel like they're more of a big headliner, and we can touch more about that when we get to our headliner category.
Agreed, agreed.
From there, we're gonna go. We already talked about new song. This is about the time after like the first two acts to get new song in the Winter Jam, and so that's really cool. And then you'll probably get we need we're gonna go into the special. I never told you this, so surprise, Brad. We have to come up with now the special guest spot. The last few years we've had Kevin Quinn and Joseph O'Brien. Are we gonna have any special guests like that this year?
Ooh, I've not thought of this yet. Definitely, definitely. I loved last year's they've done it with Kevin Quinn, Joseph O'Brien. If I had to pick a special guest, I'm gonna let you go first, because so I can rack my brain a little bit more.
I know I said this guy for a pre-jam artist, so bear with me on this, but Forrest Frank.
Mm, that would be epic, actually.
But like Forrest Frank was with the band Surfaces, then they're still together, but they're kind of disbanded in a way.
Mm,
Like, I mean, they're still together, but they just don't put out as much music as Forrest Frank has been. And he's releasing out his debut album soon. He's going on his first headlining tour soon. I just feel like it would be cool just to get more fan base at Winter Jam.
I have to agree. That's a good pick for it. I feel like if Forrest Frank was there, he would do more than a special guest, but I can definitely see him fit in that mold. For me personally, picking an artist, it's tricky. Normally, though, like no dig at Winter Jam, but the artists they pick are normally some guy heart robs. So we have Kevin Quinn, Joseph O'Brien. So I'm gonna pick Kay Thompson as the artist who may do it. I know he has a huge fan base. He has an amazing album he put out a year ago, which I still listen to just recently, actually. I can see him fit in that mold and again, fan base not as big as the other ones, but I feel like he could do really well there.
That's a good point. I think that was the other name I was gonna bring up, but I didn't know if I would put him in pre-jam, pop artist, or where. So that's a good place for him. From there, we're going to the rap slash hip hop artist. in the last few years, we've had Annie Mineo, KB, Lecrae, back to KB, back to Annie Mineo. I feel like this is a big Reach Records personally. It's been looks like they've been following a lot of these Reach record artists. So from there, I'm gonna say the hot name who did a couple guest spots last year, and I'm going with Hovey right here or Halvey Hovey.
Hmm. For sure. I would love to see him part. I think you mentioned him again last year when we did our predictions, but he would be a great artist for Winter Jam. Literally, like you said, he filled in some spots. He's just always top of his game, phenomenal. That I would love to see him there.
The only downside with him, I think it could be him, but there's that Brandon Lake and Phil Wickham. Wait, that's a summer cruise. Never mind. He's going on a cruise with Brandon Lake and Phil Wickham. But I think Hovey is the this year's choice for rap artist of the for Winter Jam.
Makes sense. That's a nice pick. For me personally, like I love the Reach Records team. I love so much of the new indie ones coming out. And like it could be KB, it could be No Big Deal, could be so many artists like Colby in them. Personally, I'm rooting for I don't really want to say underdog because he's established his name for himself, but Miles Minnick. He's an independent rapper, Christian music scene that's really gone at his name everywhere at this point. He just performed with Maverick City recently. He did a song with Lecrae. He's just a phenomenal, one of the best CHH artists right now. That even though he's indie and pretty new coming, I would love to see him take the hip hop spot of this year at Winter Jam and just hit everyone with his music. Many people who don't know of him to be exposed to that. It's just how gospel centered, how awesome it sounds. I think it'd be really cool to see.
And my two runner ups for this category, because this was a hard category for me to pick and process names through. I also came up with uh give me a second. She went by Wandy. I don't know her new name, but Wandy, she just changed her name. So I apologize. That's really recent. So that's the name I had right there.
Mm.
Just to
Oh yeah.
get some a new face in there as well that way. And then
Agreed.
and another new name I had was Jackie Hill Perry because she just signed with Reach Records as well.
Ooh, I've not thought of that, but that would be really cool seeing her kick off her Reach record era with Winter Jam. That'd be sweet.
So those are the two other names. And then an honorable mention, which is a dark horse candidate here, I have Zanti.
Mm, makes sense. Yeah. Never know. He would be a good one to put back on there, especially since he just signed with Atlantic Records. That'd be really cool to see him there.
From here, they usually try to do some type of female artist. In the past, we've had Ann Wilson, Katie Nicole, Francesca Battistelli, etc., Carrie Joe. And this year, my pick for female artist of the year, she's releasing her debut album in a couple weeks, so or week or so. If you're listening to this in July when we first put this out, the name is Leanna Crawford.
Yes, she's a phenomenal artist. One of my sister's favorites. And like you said, she has her. I've not even thought about that, but this is literally her debut album. She's been around doing EPs and singles, but with her first album, that'd be great to see her at Winter Jam and just really show everyone her music, her vocal talents, her lyrics. That'd be incredible to see for her to fit that bill.
Who did you have for this category?
For this category, I went with Riley Clemens, which she just released her album Church Pew recently. A great album, a lot more contemporary focus, kind of like Leanna Crawford. But I love Riley Clemens. I love the album still. And it'd be really cool to see her up there personally. Like, it's sad there's not as much Christian headline female artists nowadays as there, I feel like, used to be. But there's still so many good artists, whether Riley Clemens, whether Leanna Crawford, just to do the Winter Jam lineup thing and just knock it out of the park. I know we've had phenomenal artists already, so it'd be super cool seeing a new face hit that lineup.
And we've had Riley Clemens before, and that was during the COVID year, like 2020, and they did like 8 shows and everything shut down. I was at one of like those 8 shows. That was the same year when we had actually had Zonti too, and Austin French was there, Riley Clemens, Crowder.
Right, indeed. So I would love to see her there for a full out Winter Jam tour this time.
And from here, we're gonna just touch base on it. We have a speaker. I just still feel like it's gonna be Zane Black. Like Zane's engaging a lot of these audiences. Whenever I go to Winter Jam, there's a long line talking to Zane. Like the line's like 50 people deep sometime and everything. And I just think Zane fits the mold really well.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree. Zayn looks like the prominent Winter Jam speaker, which I love him every time. He always gives a great message. But now that you mentioned it, I do have another person I can imagine being speaker, and that's Jackie Hill Perry. Along with being a hip hop artist, she's a phenomenal speaker. Most people that I talk with them about and mention her name, they think of her as a speaker more than an artist. because her messages are just so powerful. Her stories, her books, like it's incredible the testimony God's given her that if not Zane Black, which I can see doing Winter Jam, would love to see, I can see Jackie Hill Perry being the speaker and just really hitting people with an amazing word.
And this is just going to be a fun bonus category I'm going to throw in very quick before we go into the big elephant in the room, the headliner. We usually have a special speaker for like the mission talk every year. Like we've had Jason Roy come out and etc. Do you have any guesses for who the mission talk person would be, or you think Jason Roy's back with the mission talk?
Ooh, honestly, I'm gonna hope Jason Roy's doing it. I love seeing that dude every year. I've talked to them a couple times. He's awesome. He always does really good at giving a powerful message to encourage people to help these children. So I would love to see Jason Roy do it still.
Yeah, I think Jason Roy was my guess too. I just wonder if you had in on it. We're going to talk about the big elephant in the room. We're going to start with your headliner because we kind of touched base on this name already. So we're going to start with you this time.
Yes. So I try not to spend too much time on Winter Jam lineup because again, these are predictions where we do the best we can, just having fun with it, guessing who could be there. But personally, I really believe it's going to be Skillet has the headliner this year, just because every 3 years or so, it's normally Skillet. Sometimes it changes depending on I know COVID and everything, so it could not be. But just for the rock act, for headliner's sake, and then they also have new music apparently coming out pretty soon. So I would love to see Skillet do it once again. They've been there so many times, but it literally is a blast every time. So that's my personal go-to.
It was one of my finalists. I think we discussed this. I circled on Newsboys just because it's been a few years since Newsboys been out there. They've been doing Winter Jam for like the last 15 years, like every 3 years, like Skillet. So like if we go like to every 3 years, like yes, we have Winter Jam, but we would have skipped Newsboys' rotation. So that's where I'm going with Newsboys in that category. And they're working on their new album, Worldwide Revival, and everything. And they just signed Adam Ag and everything, and they're just making like a big comeback with new artists in their lineup and everything.
Definitely, yeah. With their new album, it would be really cool to see them up there. It's harder for me to imagine because I think their new album's going more worship focused, which again, really cool to see. But I could have again, both of them could be great options with it. If Newsboys went, I feel like it would be much more of a retrospective over their lineup of songs. While Skillet went, I feel like it would still be the modern era. But either way would be super cool to see up there.
A couple other names that I would like to see, and it's probably not going to happen, so don't get your hopes up here for King Country.
Mm-hmm.
They have a big tour starting in September, so I just don't see them doing that because I feel like they're going to do an international leg or more dates with that tour once that one's done. And I also want to see Lauren Daigle because she's been at Winter Gym in the past and she's been making a lot of waves lately too.
Definitely, yeah. We were talking just a few days ago when Lord Daigle was mentioned, but she'd be incredible. I know she did it years ago when she was just starting out, and I remember seeing her blow audiences away. That surprised me. She's not headline Winter Jam yet. In a place where I know Winter Jam, people say all the time about needing new headliners to keep things fresh. And I love how they had We the Kingdom a few years ago, which was an incredible addition to it. I think Laura Daigle would be a perfect fit to headline Winter Jam, literally. So hopefully,
This is just for fun. We kind of did touch base on this one too, very quick. I said Need to Breathe, but me and Bradden both said they're more mainstream now versus Christian music. They're still putting out great songs, but maybe we should get 21 Pilots a headline.
dude, I would love that. I have fallen in love with them this year. That would is not going to happen, but it would be incredible to see.
And just a few honorable mentions before we wrap this up. Brad, a couple of other names, Brendan and I floated around the area that didn't make our cut. We brought up Matthew West at one point. I think he would fit Winter Jam, especially with his new album. His song "Don't Stop Praying" is like a #1 single right now. It's like making waves everywhere. And then another one I have was Michael Tyler.
Definitely, yes. Those are solid additions as well. That would be really cool to see. For me, I also had on there. I'm gonna butcher his name, but Steph Skulter. I'd probably butcher that, but you've heard his song "Counting My Blessings." It's an incredible song. He's got such a good fan base that I could see him up there. Also, either Taya or Benjamin William Hastings, I feel like would be super cool additions for an extra worship act in the set with their songs. Both of them have got radio play with their songs going to be good or abandoned. That I would love to see them up there too.
Or both of them together to do like a little Hillsong reunion.
Dude, I would that would send me through the roof. That'd be awesome.
And then this is the last one, I promise. Then we'll wrap this up. The female artist I didn't bring up that missed a cut that I was going to bring up. I ended up with Leanna Crawford, Hannah Kerr.
Oh, yes, she would be a really good one. She just has a new album coming out August. It would be amazing to see her up there. Yes.
And so those are Armand and Braden's predictions there this year. We would like to hear your predictions as well. So if you want to, please like, comment on our page and who you think you want to see. Do you agree with our predictions? Not. And subscribe to our channel because we'll probably do this again, not with predictions, but we'll discuss the lineup too and see how accurate we are like usual. So everyone, take care, and we'll see you next time on the Christian Music First podcast. Remember, if you want to hear more about Winter Jam, stay tuned because we have big news coming with Winter Jam. Take care, everyone.